Just waiting for the YouTube stream to be set up, and then we can get going. Okay. That's all done.
Are you okay with the waiting room, Alicia?
Yep, I'm absolutely, yeah, all good. Ready to go. Okay, you can start.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Silvia Dal Bianco, and I am a CETAL member. It's a great pleasure for us to host today Dr. Lorenzo Lotti and Dr. Nikolaos Christantopoulos. Both of them works at the UCL Bartlett School, and this afternoon they are going to introduce us to a very interesting initiative that is called Sustainability and Higher Education Initiative. And I just leave the floor to them. Before doing that, I wish to remind you to use the chat facility if you wish to ask some questions while Lorenzo and Nikos are talking. And also bear in mind that this meeting is recorded. And guys, the floor is yours, and welcome.
Thank you, Silvia.
Thank you.
Thank you for the invite, of course. And I will share the slides now, so we can all see the same thing. I think you can see the slides now, right? So yes, Nikos and I will go through some of the projects and activities we have run this year with our sustainability and higher education initiative. Alternating each other, presenting different activities, of course. The main like description of the initiative is here. So we did found this in the Bartlett School of Environment, Energy and Resources, which is the school where we are both working with. The initiative has the aim to drive forward the sustainability in higher education, working at national and international levels. We are running some national projects at the moment that we hope will go very well. And the most important thing is that we try to be a point of reference, unifying the sustainability related education we are running in our school for decades now, and linking our academics, our alumni, the students, the current students, and all the higher education and general public who are interested in sustainability. Our launch, for example, was open to public, and we had people from different universities and a different context. Our department is made by 4 institutes, and which are here below on the left: Energy Institute, Sustainable Resources, Sustainable Heritage, and Environmental Design and Engineering. We are all talking about sustainability in very different ways. We are multidisciplinary, and we teach in our programs about sustainability in different ways. So looking at today's debates on sustainability and how to implement and incorporate sustainability within higher education curricula and in the programs, for example, I believe that there is quite a lot that our colleagues and our institute can tell and can contribute to. And the same is true for our alumni, which are now thousands, of course, and they are involved in their daily jobs in sustainability-related activities. So that's a bit of our story. And Nikos and I are working in the Institute for Sustainable Resources and Energy Institute. So we are mainly based in these 2 institutes. So we did run this year a combination of external and internal activities. And today we will review some of these. We hope to collect some feedback and impressions from you, and to understand better what you do, and if some of these things could be done in a different way. Some projects worked very well; they were super interesting. Others didn't work as everything as it happens when you trial new things. So it's also an opportunity to hear and learn from our audience. A quick review of some of the things we could cover today more in depth. So we did a open to public webinar on the MSc dissertations within the department. So we selected just some of the best ones from some of the programs. And we had this open to public webinar, which went very well, and our students did great. We are working on a book with Springer on the relation and links between sustainability and higher education. We do projects with companies and local authorities also at international level. And we did run internal trainings for staff. This is also because our initiative is not just about sustainability, it's also about education. And it is an opportunity for the staff and colleagues involved into teaching to train, to get opportunities to talk about teaching, and having more opportunities than what we had before, perhaps. So the internal trainings not always are about sustainability. They are driven and focusing on teaching and learning. So they make them also very close to the topics that CETL is usually discussing. And yeah, and then of course we participate to events, to seminars, and we're very happy to be here today to talk with you. So now we will have a very brief description of some of the activities, and we will ask for some feedback. I know that there are some emails, some messages in the chat already. Of course, feel free to drop your questions there, and we will try to make this as interactive as possible. Okay. I think, yeah, this one was yours, right, Nikos? It's
yes. Hi, everyone. Very nice to be here together with you, presenting the Sustainability and Higher Education Initiative. As Lorenzo said, this is a relatively new initiative that started in this year. And although our primary focus is on higher education and sustainability, just to say, following up on what Lorenzo mentioned about incorporating and integrating sustainability as a notion within the curriculum, we are in a way we consider ourselves lucky because the programs that we are running in BZ are several of them, majority I would say, very much linked with sustainability in the different ways that Lorenzo mentioned. And although the initiative focuses very much on higher education, we don't consider higher education in an isolated way, but rather we consider it integrated with the other levels. And as you will see, we also have focused on further education and how we can make the link and the transition from the one level to the other, and try to support the wider participation. So specifically here, I mean, you will see in the presentation that for an unexplained way, we have introduced a lot of photos, and because we are kind of the common people within all the different activities, we appear here and there in several instances. So this was not made in purpose, and it's a little bit funny observing this. Also, it's nice to see as we were forming this presentation, to see in the very short time how many things we have done, and some have been really great and presented some really valuable outcomes, while in others we had some challenges. So one very successful case was the one with the public speaking training. So considering that our PGTAs as well as the staff is very much involved in delivering lectures and very much engaged in public speaking activities, we thought to introduce such a training. An actor was the key trainer and ran this whole workshop, and through small exercises and some kind of small group works, she offered opportunity to improve and to engage on activities that could improve the skill of speaking to a cohort, making your voice at the right level, try to put some color and make a little bit more engaging the way that we are presenting. So we got a really good feedback, especially from the PGTAs that participated in the event. And as Lorenzo can also say, we are planning to keep this activity in the upcoming years and make it in a way compulsory for the PGTAs, the new PGTAs that are joining our programs, to get this small workshop and get the opportunity to get some tips and tricks. So if we maybe go on the next slide, because here we are having, I mean, it's
it's mostly
the
summary, yes.
The other topics appear also. So one activity that we piloted this year and has been in collaboration with Perlego was to offer extra support to students regarding academic writing through supportive readings. So Perlego, it's actually advertises the platform as the Netflix for books. So in a way, it is a digital library, but has several functionalities that can improve the efficiency of reading and studying. So the books offered cover a great variety, and as we were doing this exercise, we found that there is a significant intersection with what the UCL library also offers. But the way they offer it together with the full accessibility through different devices and the fact that you can keep reading from the same point that you were left, you are entitled to annotate and put comments and review them afterwards. So in a way, it has several functionalities that can facilitate a lot the studying and save time in students. So to that extent, there is also another option that offers the possibility to create some kind of reading assignments. So by the completion of the first term, through the assessment, we have identified a subgroup of students that we classified as really struggling students in the essay writing and on academic writing more specifically. So in a way, we decided to go and form tailored reading lists using some of the textbooks on academic writing that were available in the platform and create assignments in which several sections that were highlighted should be on the reading list of students, and students have had some limited time to go through this and get the key points that we have indicated. So instead of giving them wide chapters from different books, we had this tailored reading list as an assignment. So reflecting on what actually happened with this initiative, we saw that the engagement of students was really low. Although the load and the period during which we ran this gave a potential, so it was by the end of the term, so the workload that students were undertaking at this period was limited, but still the engagement was low. So although we would like, to hear from colleagues maybe potential improvements on this, or how, with your experience, you are actually support academic writing in postgraduate cohorts, multidisciplinary like ours. In our case, we consider that maybe the textbooks on academic writing, it's not the proper resource, and maybe the only resource that students that are struggling are looking forward. And maybe we consider more kind of engaging and fruitful the writing labs that we also run. So more or less this, I think, Lorenzo, concludes all the activities that we run. I don't know if there is anything else to be added.
Yeah, I mean, if there are any points from the audience, and then perhaps we can cover also the more general questions that we had. But as Nico said, we have the writing labs. We have one-to-one sessions to work on presenting but also writing essays. We consider this as an additional support. But the engagement of students has been low, so it seems that it didn't help. It wasn't like combined and complementary to the other things we do. So I don't know if there are any thoughts or questions or.
Yes, Parama in the chat asks about the feedback that we got from students through their interact with Perlego. So indeed, the functionality is great, but the thing that this is very much covered in a way from the UCL library, does not put the right incentive on them to get engaged. So having the same resources or similar resources from two different gateways, it's in a way complicating. So I would say that it's a very nice tool to have for someone that does not have the UCL library access as we currently have it in UCL. This is at least my understanding.
I mean, there are lots of nice tools like tagging and selecting specific bits and pieces of chapters, making reading lists is very user friendly. I think that one aspect to consider is that we, in our subsample, we have some selection bias. So the students that we approached are the ones that are struggling the most, and most of the times, unfortunately, the students that are struggling the most are also the ones that are engaged the least with the support opportunities. And it's sometimes very difficult to talk to them, understand what is going on, which are the difficulties, perhaps. So perhaps for these kind of situations of supporting the part of the core that is struggling the most, a digital approach perhaps is not the best way. Perhaps like the one-to-one chats are perhaps more useful. This doesn't mean that it could be used for many other things that could work much better. Sorry, I can see Parama and Rami, of course. Yes.
Yeah. So that was really useful. I think you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I think the point Nikos made earlier about, I mean, there's no way to teach, what you're teaching without sort of an interdisciplinary approach, and you would assume that people from different backgrounds would also be interested. That's one of the sort of strengths of this program. At the same time, people are bringing very different skills and experiences, right? Because of that interdisciplinarity to a certain extent. So I'm just wondering whether, you're seeing sort of more of a challenge because of that. So Lorenzo, I know you've taught in economics. Obviously, a long time ago and so on. So more of a challenge because it's more interdisciplinary. Or also, and this is a completely unfair question, sorry, you may not be able to answer this yet. Also, I was just in a conversation today about how in sort of postgraduate degrees, because of the COVID experience, people are also coming in with different experiences and skills than we're used to. So reading, for example, has always been a challenge, but even more when there's been this disruption. So any sort of comments you have on that, and just an idea of what your cohort looks like in terms of size, backgrounds, anything like that would be useful.
Correct. Yeah.
Thank you. Should we hear also Ramin, or should we reply this and then? It's let's just cover this quickly, perhaps, and then we hear from Ramin as well. The cohort is very interdisciplinary. Like half of the students and applicants are from economics, but just around half. Some are from engineering, some are from life sciences, and some are from like business and other disciplines. So there is a background which is very diverse and diversified. And this means that some are struggling more with numbers, some are struggling more with the essays or presentations. It's I think that there's also an evolution of things. For example, this year we moved back to paper exams for all the quant modules we have. And some of our students did a bachelor completely online. So they didn't do any kind of assessment, at least in person. So that is quite of a shock. And the feedback I get from my e-exam, for example, today is very different from what I was getting 2 or 3 years ago, where some were saying, well, my exams were all handwritten and now I need to type. Now the comments are all opposite, of course. So it is also true that the evolution of the needs and the course that we get is changing quite fast and quite rapidly.
Can I also add something on this? I mean, we had a discussion earlier today internally in the team for the EP. So the idea is that because we identify 2 different kind of clusters of disciplines that are coming and forming the cohort, in that way we have kind of the quant and the non-quant stuff in a way to support. So specifically for the quantitative stuff and the more technical things, we are having during the induction week some extra workshops and sessions during which we are trying to bring everyone in the same pace and level. So because we are covering this that way, on the way that has to do with the academic writing and the critical thinking, it's still something under formation. So now we were considering in also introducing some sections on the induction week, plus strengthening all our activities here. And another thing, not very relevant to the question, but came on my mind, and I remembered the UCL conference that we attended, and with the opportunity, let me say, of a very nice keynote session that took place there. So during the parallel sessions that we participated, a very interesting key point is that we are actually bombarding our students with too much information at some points. And what we try to do here, maybe not very successfully, is what was mentioned there as the need of better signposting. So better indicate what should be studied and when, and which resources, I mean, in a way to prioritize the resources, because this is actually what the struggling students need.
Sorry, Ramin, to keep you waiting.
I'm very interested in the workshops you do on presentation. So for the students, correct? You do it both for the GPTAs in a sense, public speaking, and for the students and presentations.
So we have a compulsory 100% assessment on oral, which is an oral interview. It's an oral exam, and for that we have tailored training on how to present in the module. This one that we ran on Shay was with this training actress, which was training lecturers and TAs. So we actually did something also for example, new staff or anyone interested. We went. It was
although
very interesting.
Although it would have been great to bring this training also to students, the need is, I mean, the group should be kept at low numbers. So because of the large cohort, it wasn't possible to make it work. Because the idea of the workshop is to have small group and yeah.
Thank you. I can also I also see a couple of questions on the chat. So perhaps we can go quickly back to Cloda, which initiated the discussions, in fact. So why is it important to have these trainings activities in Share rather than the department? That's a great question. So thank you. So we have a twofold approach. Externally, we would like to reach and create the network and be part of a network and community that discusses sustainability and higher education. From the other side, the intention is to unify and bring the teaching among all the 4 institutes together. And one way to do that is also running activities on teaching and learning, which weren't happening much before. So these activities are not happening at the same time of something else. They are the only activities run that are at department level. So bringing together everyone that, for example, attends the DTC, talking about teaching practices, trainings, and giving also opportunities to run things, to have events, to run events to our colleagues that are, for example, involved in teaching tracks. And one example, of course, is the education day that we run in end of June. And I would like to reply to Mira on this. So we have a plan where we bring experts from the different schools in Bartlett in the morning to talk about inclusive group work. So how to make sure that the group work is not just fair and equitable, so everyone does its share, everyone gets rewarded for his share, etc., but also it's inclusive. And it is a point on which we worked quite a lot this year in Bizir, and there are lots of good practice and perhaps information that could be shared better across UCL on the inclusive group work, because it could be a very pleasant experience, as we all know as former students, or it could be a bit difficult. But we also have other things on that day. We talk about peer teaching dialogue. We will talk about the education awards from last year and this year. So I think these are important days internally for also bringing together the institutes. So I don't know if I replied to the question.
Thank you.
Thank you. And very briefly, one of the internal seminars run in October was about AI. In fact, it was a trap we made to our colleagues. So ChatGPT was not there at the moment, and there wasn't this debate about artificial intelligence. So we ran this seminar about giving feedback to students and what is good feedback and what is a good marking. And the first activity was making our colleagues marking an essay. So here there is the distribution of grades. So most of the colleagues passed the essay. many gave a merit. I don't think that anyone gave a distinction, so it wasn't an amazing essay. It was a good essay. So the story was that we made with our colleagues this essay with artificial intelligence in like a couple of seconds, just feeding with some like papers and giving a title. And the reaction, of course, was quite a shock, because it wasn't something very common even a few months ago to think about. And this initiated some discussions on how we should structure our essays, how should we structure our assessments, things that then became very popular topics anyways. And I know that CTAIL discussed quite a lot on these points as well in the last months. So, but it was a nice activity, and yeah, we then started our discussions back then in October.
And I think it initialized an email thread that was kept really active for some time. So
yeah,
after the event, it was every
Absolutely.
now and then someone was sending an update on what is happening with AI, and with the opportunity to say that the UCL Education Conference had a very nice also session covering this, and I think very exhaustively, in bringing also the policy and the regulation part that is necessary for higher education specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very, very interesting. All the initial sessions in the education conference. And I think this is our last slide. So this is a project on which we were just discussing this morning with Nikos, which is a national challenge we run with Perlego. So in this case, we target high school students, so years 12 and 13 mostly. And we try to focus on students from a difficult background, and we asked help into university to share our registration forms, trying to get disadvantaged students mostly, and that was our first target. So the aim of this challenge is to enhance awareness on sustainability among high school students, and to, of course, bring our UCL undergrad programs on sustainability to the attention of students. And we know that students from disadvantaged backgrounds are less likely to enroll in top universities, which is sometimes not the best idea, because we can also provide the highest funding and support in some cases. So at the same time, problems related with sustainability, such as climate change, will hit the most who is the most disadvantaged, this internationally and also at national level. We have just seen the energy crisis we had this year, for example. The project is very interesting because we shared a registration form. Then we ask some colleagues to create a reading list, a short reading list on Perlego on sustainability, and the topic was sustainable food consumption. Perlego gave free access to the library to all students that subscribed, and they have all Perlego library for all the length of the project. So the students then need to come back and reply one of our research question with a report, with the brief, with the video, with the social media content. So they are completely free in the format that they want to choose to address our question on sustainable food consumption. We will then we have allocated some mentors from our postgraduate programs, which are hearing the ideas and providing some feedback. And then the shortlisted projects will be invited UCL for a final event where we hear the best projects. We hear from like a newly open bachelor in sustainability at UCL, how the bachelor looks like. And we will offer also the opportunity to run a broadening access initiative. So it has many objectives, and yeah, but so far it looks that everything is running well, and we are preparing the final event. Hopefully we will get interesting projects in the end. I don't know if there are questions specifically on this. Oh, I don't think so.
Just to add that this is the point. I mean, this is an activity that gives the opportunity to form a bridge between the different levels in education. So in a way, we tried to get our postgraduate students involved, volunteering to become a mentor in a university body to further education students. And we also had recently a webinar through which we got the opportunity to present more details on this contest, and we got a short presentation from UCL colleagues, kind of a small introductory lecture on the subject to complement and introduce smoothly students to the specific readings and to the research questions.
And it's also a good way of talking about including and implementing sustainability within curricula. So in this case, we are actually providing sustainability concepts and topics to high school students, which will then perhaps select programs in their bachelors which are related to sustainability, or if not, then perhaps we will perhaps affect the demand. Yeah, so a demand side effect where actually students ask for sustainability related concepts. Yes.
And in our case here, we have actually built this year's topic around 2 SDGs. So the easiest way of introducing a little bit of sustainability discussion and the kind of environment within diverse and different subjects is to try to identify some SDGs in a way relevant, and through those go and build some case specifically. So in a way, of course, here we have a student sustainability challenge. So in a way, it's directly related to that. But the plan is to identify in different years, so different instances of this challenge, a different topic around different SDGs. So the SDGs can be a key driver and can bring also awareness, which is the key priority here.
I could also see a message from Parama on UCL East. So we didn't have any project at the moment, but that's absolutely a great idea. So in particular, if you think about access and broadening participation, that's absolutely something we should work on, and perhaps also exploiting the launching phases of UCL East.
I had a comment on it, but I think Mira's hand is up. Lorenzo, if you want to take that one.
Okay, sorry, I didn't.
Hey, I'll go
yes.
after you, Parma. You finish and then I'll come in.
Okay, thanks, Mira. I was just going to say, Lorenzo, that I mean, the UCL East thing is obviously about bringing the students into UCL and, in these programs and so on, but it's also about for students who are not going to come into UCL to take this kind of very important issue to them. So a community kind of thing.
Yes.
So whether or not, sort of interacting with the university in a community way, rather than necessarily coming to the university for an education and so on. So yeah, if you have any thoughts on, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's very new. The buildings have literally just opened. There's an opportunity to do something different from our traditional kind of degrees and the traditional way in which a university interacts with sort of the community around us. So something to think about, I think.
Absolutely, and I definitely agree. I mean, the fact that climate change, for example, would be a driver for inequality, and the fact that the awareness is so unequally distributed as well, makes it like a very good point to share and try to communicate more on certain topics. Absolutely, and this is also one of our objectives, not specifically just here, but in general for the initiative. So part of enriching the debate within the community, interested and not too interested at the moment, perhaps, or not involved or engaged as it should. Sorry, Mira, I didn't want to make you waiting more.
No, that's absolutely fine. Thank you. It's really good to see people I haven't seen for a while as well. Hello. I'm working at King's. I'm a senior lecturer in education, and we are just starting to think about, well, not just starting, but thinking about education for sustainable development. And this question about interdisciplinarity that I think Parama mentioned earlier, I get the impression that I'm not quite clear that you've got students from different disciplines, maybe within, one school, coming together to think this through, and then students from outside UCL as well. And it strikes me that this coming together and the bottlenecks that are associated with, I guess, formulating what the problem is before you can get on to beginning to think about, what to do about it, is the nub of what's difficult about this work. And I just wondered if you'd come across it and whether you had any insights.
So in terms of how to reach students from different backgrounds and including them and involving them
with each other so that they can have an understanding of what they're working on. So sustainable food consumption in the example that you're showing, when they're coming from many different backgrounds, and they're likely to have different ideas of what the problem is, depending on if they're from economics or if they're from built environment or energy.
So, yes, I think that's an excellent point. Here, of course, we do everything in a smaller dimension, right? Just focusing on high school students, we assume and look at what the curriculum usually is, but it's more homogeneous that, for example, a bachelor in engineering compared to a bachelor in economics. But looking at the wider perspective, I think that in the end, this year has been a very interesting field experiment, because we have more than 10 postgraduate programs that are running for years and years, and the four institutes are talking about very different things. And within the institutes, we have very diverse background of staff. So we have 4 or 5 people with an economics expertise in the 2 institutes I'm working in, for example. And we have a very diverse background of people looking at sustainability, and also the students. So they come from different regions in the world, as in UCL in general, but also have very different backgrounds. And at the end of the journey within these programs, they arrive more or less at at the same level in terms of understanding of that specific subject they're studying in the program. But the very beginning is very, very strange, because some are very confident and comfortable with some topics, but completely clueless about others. Me as a former economics student, I would have struggled with many of the core subjects talking about sustainability, or even like talking about other things, of course, related to our programs. So it's an interesting experiment, I think. And we this is one of the chapters of the book we are writing, where we are actually trying to highlight the circularity of the process of higher education within sustainability, because in higher education, we receive students that have questions about sustainability, that they have past experiences, or they want to solve some problems related with their region or their area or their family linked to sustainability. So they come in the higher education community, and they enrich their community with their story. Then at that point, they of course get our influence and teaching, but they get also the stories from other peers, and we have a community which is self-feeding, let's say. And at that point, they go out and they do amazing things. They come back and train other students. They come back and solve problems that they initially had, and it was the main reason why they joined the university. And I think that most of the chapters we have structured and we are writing on are hopefully showing this circularity, which if it expands, of course, it can englobe and include people that join university and they don't have a clue, and perhaps they're not even interested too much on sustainability. But that is, of course, also work of including and working with the rest of the university. And large universities as ours could have a problem with that. Even in sustainability, we are many centers and initiatives around UCL that are doing similar things, perhaps sometimes, and a big job is to connect and talk together, to broaden, to involve more students and staff.
Lorenzo, just to ask, to add two points. One is during the webinar that we had with the students, it came up kind of a request if it was supposed or if it would be possible for them to work in groups. So in a way, although this is very challenging for the concept that we are implementing here, this would in a way bring together the different disciplines and the different approaches, and it would be a very useful interaction and would bring added value, I think, to this. But in the context of a student challenge, given that everyone has a little bit scarcity on the time that can put on this, from the students from further education, but also on the mentors and all the concepts, it is a little bit challenging. Another point to add has about the form of the submissions. So we decided to go with an approach like a blank page. So it's free the students to choose what is the form of the submission that they prefer. This can be from a traditional report until some kind of a short video, a very short movie, or how they prefer to express themselves. So we yet have not received submissions. So we are still a little bit unsure if the blank page will block them or will actually improve and increase creativity. Because I mean, initially we thought, let's leave infinite degrees of freedom, but we don't know how this will end up. So it is an experiment. We are looking forward to see how it will go. But in a way, maybe the different disciplines choose different ways to get expressed. So this was what I mean, how I did the link and brought this forward as a point. Yeah.
Good point, Nikos. And let's fingers crossed, of course. Let's see what we get. Claudia, sorry, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could explain a bit how you formed the partnership with Perlego and whether you've talked to other partners to do other things.
So for different projects or for this one in particular?
Either or both.
Okay. Yeah, so with Perlego, we have had discussions for these two main things. So the internal training to students and the national project. We have other things going on with other partners, let's say. We have some work with other universities, for example, with the book. We have, for example, we had some invites for international conferences organized by other universities, so not just like private companies, let's say. We received recently a couple of opportunities of international organizations which are funded by a specific government or specific bodies within nations far away from UK. So it's a bit of a mix at the moment. I think that yeah, we also have some contacts with Italian universities and associations, but this is perhaps a biased effect because I had chats with colleagues back in Italy. But in general, it's a mix between universities, international organizations, and companies such as Perlego or into university.
Great, thank you.
Yes, and actually, I mean, considering the comparison between the two projects, it's probably interesting to see that these different groups have different access. So our students have access already in a wide range of textbooks through UCL library, while the further education students do not. So seeing the utilization of these different groups from the tool, it's also something that that can make the difference. So in our case, having both projects with Perlego, it's very interesting to see the difference analysis. Yeah.
I hope, of course, we will have opportunities to work with CTAIL very soon, and we have a couple of ideas, I think.
Okay. So what's next for you guys?
So,
Apart from a rest.
sorry?
I presume you're having a rest, but after that, what's next?
Yeah. So we have this nice event, internal nice event on the 29th. We will run the final events of the project. So we also have the the behavioral environmental marathon, which is parallel but not completely included in the activities we mentioned today. We hope to finish the book very soon, and yeah, and then the rest would be a discussion of what is what is the capacity in terms of time and involvement of the staff to make larger things and bigger things. So the more support and we have from our colleagues internally, the more we can do. So we hope that we can take some opportunities very soon with the help of our colleagues. We have a list of colleagues that helped very much this year already. We just need to expand that a little.
Yes, and actually we have to screen and reflect and probably improve some of the activities that we ran this year. So to make sure that the second instances will be even better and broader and more inclusive. So this is also an exercise that we have to undertake soon.
So one of the things we've done a lot on those kind of reflections is getting students involved, but presuming your master's students move on at the end of the year. So have you got a way of capturing their experiences with all of this? I guess looking at the big picture rather than individual activities.
Some, for example, some are contributing to the book, but recently we managed to, at least for some programs, not for all the programs. I'm talking a little bit about our own program at the moment, but we managed to keep the graduates in-house, and not just for PhDs, but also for as module assistant, for example, the year after, or as researchers, and that keeps them in a loop somehow, which then helps when we run activities.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
That we have a very large cohort of alumni, as you have in economics. The hope is to involve them as much as possible. So I remember when we first had a chat with you guys in UCL, we reflected together about some activities. One of the activity was having like a podcast with our alumni talking about sustainability, and yeah, I think that the comment and feedback there was that is a activity for an advanced phase. And after a year working on this, I can see very much why that is a great point. So little by little, I think that we could arrive also to that.
Okay, guys, any further comments, final questions? No? Okay, so guys, do you have anything else to add? Well, Parama was noting that Lorenzo was at economics, so the title is quite well. The link is quite close. Sorry, my phone start ringing. What a suck.
And of course, I'm very grateful to the economics department, and I'm sorry for Nikos and the other colleagues when
Okay, sorry about that. It was far.
No worries. When I mention economics department, say in the economics department, they do this and that. Should follow it. So yeah.
Okay,
They will be following you now.
Surely I have very good memories, and it helped me a lot, like thinking about what I like to do in my life. So I'm very grateful.
Good. Okay, so if no further comments, there are no further comments. I wish to thank Lorenzo and Nikos for the insightful presentation, and best of the luck for your project. And thanks a lot for sharing your work with us. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks a lot for this, for the step. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone, for coming. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. And
Thank
thanks
you.
for